Hey, we're live for the first time with Higurashi.
It's been literally a month.
Has it been a month?
Yeah,
Has it
yesterday
actually
was a
been
month.
a month?
Literally blue balled me for all of April. It's fucking May 1st, my guy. We last we did it was the 28th of 2 months ago. Gonna murder you.
You ripping me in half hamburger or hot dog? How we going?
It's gonna go straight hot dog, straight down the middle.
Let me pull my motherfucking keyboard out.
Alright, buddy. What do you think's gonna happen in this final chapter?
Oh shit, we are in the final bits, huh? We got like what, 2 chapters? I think?
We're on the last one. We should be on the very last one.
Oh, there's only one to read.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we had 2.
If I remember correctly, this is the very last one.
Oh my goodness. Okay. What do I think's gonna happen?
Mm-hmm.
I hope Oishi does anything.
Okay.
I hope fucking small penis McSmallnuts like talks to Oishi
Okay.
and says anything to him and just is like, hey, I'm gonna die, buddy. The SpongeBob me boy. I'm gonna fucking die. I hope he does anything. Like literally I would be satisfied for anything. Yeah, we're on chapter 11. Does it go up to 12?
I think it's 12. Well,
Shit,
I think this is the last chapter. It's either 12 is the last or this is no. I think 12 is the last.
Okay. We're on the second one, right?
Yeah, they're the same.
Yeah, like they look identical, but I want to make sure we're playing the right one. So we were here last year. Yeah, so it's been a full.
See, March 28th. It's now May 1st.
Yeah, okay. We'll see if we would have waited 10 days, it would have been the anniversary of the last time we were here.
and like in 8 hours.
Yeah. It would have been an anniversary, dude. Would have been better. Did I use this?
7.
7?
I don't know.
Do you know how time works?
9 hours.
Because I don't. We're good to continue, right? We already got the tips?
I think so. Yeah.
Alright, that's a little loud. Just turn it down a hair. Alright, bud. We're doing it. Alright. I guess I'd be lying if I said I didn't get any sleep. I tried to stay awake all night, but there were definitely gaps in my memory. I guess I kept nodding off and jerking awake in a panic all night. Hey, I do that in class. I spent all night hugging the metal bat and sat on top of the futon I used to barricade my door.
This is the last chapter.
Waiting, watching just in case someone tried to break in through my window. If I left this spot, someone would break through the door, sending the futon flying and attack me. But if I stopped watching the window, someone would break through the glass and attack me. I tried telling myself I was just being paranoid, but I couldn't sleep. The thought of being so vulnerable scaled the wiffy daylight out of me.
When the Sadako game.
Yo, rat? You got a rat in the walls? If sleep meant taking that risk, I didn't need it.
If what meant?
What? Am I? Can I read?
What'd you say?
What words came out of my mouth? This is gonna be a disaster. We are off to a disaster. All right, I got this. I'm a professional.
Killing the atmosphere. God damn
If sleep meant taking that risk, I didn't need it. It was so much better just to stay awake. At some point during that endless cycle of nodding off and jolting awake, light began to shine outside. But that was it. It wasn't so much the morning as it was just the sun the sun simply having risen. I snuck a peek out through the curtains. Rena was gone. I couldn't see her anywhere no matter how hard I looked. Finally, I could breathe a deep sigh of relief. The night was finally over. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tired, but I didn't feel like sleeping at the moment. My man's playing Five Nights at Freddy's, bro.
Okay.
I still had time. But I needed to make my own breakfast, so I'd better get started soon. Skipping school was also an option. With my mom gone, it'd be easy to play hooky. Honestly, I debated it. The risk involved in leaving my house was incalculable. So staying holed up in here was probably my safest option. But staying here wouldn't solve anything. Oishi-san wouldn't help me without cold, hard evidence. Neither he nor my parents. So unless I found some sort of proof, these relentless nights would never end. I stretched my body, tilted my head back, and closed my eyes just like I did every morning. He's actually going to school? Fucking Giga Chad. I regulated my breathing and regained my senses. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. Let's go to school. Let's wait until they set their trap for me. But that didn't mean I was just going to twiddle my thumbs. I needed to avoid that trap and secure irrefutable evidence. Take note of plates of any cars that drive by. If I see someone suspicious, check their clothes and face. I wasn't just protecting myself, I was preparing myself to turn their attacks against them and retaliate. The tension was similar to when two samurais were both aiming to slay each other with a single motion as they drew their katanas. I was not at a disadvantage. I would have a chance to retaliate. I finally felt a bit of courage go into my chest. All right, let's go to school. I tightened my grip on Satoshi's bat. He was the only partner I could count on. Satoshi, please lend me your strength and entrust your dying regrets to me, since you were probably murdered. I'll make sure I dispel them. I feel like it's a very casual way to bring that up.
A little bit, yeah.
I like how it's not even a since you were murdered, it's parentheses since you were probably murdered.
Yet.
With renewed resolve, I checked the clock. It was still early. Of course, I was going to school by myself today. If I didn't want to run into Rena or Mion, I needed to leave now. So you think Rena's hands are going to be all fucked up? You think when he draws his big meat hands, Rena's going to have like a purple line over one of hers?
Oh my god.
The shattered fragments of the cupboard were still strewn all over the entryway. Right. I meant to clean that up last night, but never got around to it, with the phone call and everything. If my parents came back and saw this while I was at school, I would never hear the end of it. Still, I'd be wasting time if I cleaned it up right now, and considering what would happen if I ran into Rena and Mion, I wouldn't be too late to clean it up after I got... It wouldn't be too late to clean it up after I got back home. Making extra certain that the doors were locked, I left the house. My uniform was still covered in mud from yesterday, so I left it in the washer. Today, I was going to school in a tracksuit. By wearing a different outfit this morning, my mind was forced to accept that today was different from yesterday. I had a hunch. Today might be the day I get killed. Bro, we still got, what, like 3 games? 4 games? Keiichi, you can't die in this chapter. 7? Yeah, Keiichi can't die in this fucking chapter, bro. Keep your guard up, Keiichi Maebara. The only one who gets to decide if today is my last is me. He's so Chad. I call him Smallcock McGee, but he really is.
You're really just like missing the mark with that nickname. I'll just tell you that right now.
He's Chad as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I like giving Keiichi shit, but he is Chad. I'm holding. I spent the morning practicing my swing like it was my natural routine. After a while, Rena arrived at school. Our eyes met, but we said nothing. Rena said nothing about last night, as if it never happened. But I could see that those events were real by the wounds carved into her fingers. As I said, she shows up with, like, busted-ass fucking fingers. I just heard her telling Sadako and the others that the bandages were for her from hurting herself in the kitchen. Though, it wasn't like it bothered me. The details that Oishi shared about Rena's incident before her transfer played vividly in my mind. Now that I knew about it, I couldn't even dream of Rena as a cute, ideal girl. My man's just wants his trad wife. Kei-chan, I see you're still aiming for nationals. It was Mion. I had already sensed her approach, so I wasn't that surprised. Oh, Mion. If you understand, then leave me alone. I'm busy practicing. I gave her a curt reply without my usual jokes. Then I gave the bat an even larger swing, tactically keeping Mion from getting... Tactically.
Tacitly.
Testicle?
Tacitly.
Tacitly?
Tacitly.
Tacit?
Yeah, tacitly.
What's it mean?
Oh, it's No, I don't know. I just know that.
Then how do you know it's fucking tacitly?
Because I heard it a million times.
Fuck you. Tacitly keeping Mion from getting any closer. Hey, Keiichi, take it easy. I think Mion got the message, but she still urged me to give it a rest. This is Keiichi. Homeroom's not that far off, is it? Just let me finish practicing.
Tacitly.
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 What's it mean?
In a way that is understood or implied without being directly stated.
So implied.
Yeah.
So the fancy word of implied.
Well, the way he...
Ryuki should literally...
No.
Whoa,
read it.
What?
Tacitly keeping Mion away from getting any closer.
Okay, alright. I got it.
I was swinging my bat in order to imply that Mion should stay away from
that
me.
You should fuck off. Okay. Alright, fucking... You and your brother, man. I can't do anything without getting my goddamn hair split into 8 pieces between the two of you.
I'm just trying to help you understand what
Help me understand what motherfucking
You didn't know what the
grammar?
word was.
Fuck you. It's not like I asked you to pull the definition up.
You asked me what the definition was. You fucking lying.
I know! That was the joke!
I know. That was the joke.
You fucking moron. This has started terrible. In the stream. Get it done. I'm done. Going home. No, I'm kicking you out. I'm already here.
Yeah, hurry home.
I swung the bat even harder as a sign of my refusal. Kei-chan, when did you get into baseball? Just recently. Recently? You mean yesterday? I can't get the Mion like boom as I was getting before. And don't ask if you already know. Oh dear. That's a very unsportsmanlike reply. There it is. You're distracting me. Go away. I ignored Mion and kept swinging. Normally, she'd get mad or bored and leave if someone gave her the cold shoulder like this. Mion just stood there, waiting patiently for me to stop swinging. I didn't sense any hostility, but we were at school, in plain view. I doubt she'd suddenly attack me here. Or was that too naive? Still, I was starting to get tired. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to take a break and hear her out. You need me for something, right? What is it? Sweat poured from me as I stopped swinging. I noticed my shoulders were heaving as I breathed. I cursed my lack of exercise. So you stay in shape, baby. At this rate, I might not be able to move as needed when the time came. I should probably keep practicing my swing to build stamina in addition to the excuse for carrying the bat around with me. Well, it's nothing important. If you're tired, I can ask again later. I do have to set up. Now is fine. I'm only dealing with you right now because I judge this situation to be safe. Talking to you alone away from the others? That's out of the question. Well, Mion was uncharacteristically trying to choose her words, but unlike Oishi-san, it didn't look like she was going to talk about something I'd rather not hear. Mion was puzzled, trying to find the right thing to say, but then she gave a hearty laugh to break herself out of that mire. This old man's just no good at this stuff. Having a poor vocabulary hurts. I figured it out. What's this all of a sudden? If you have something to say, just say it. Mion love confession. No! This is cringe! Stop it. Stop that swinging. She cut straight to the point. Her request was so frank, I didn't understand it for a moment. I had already stopped swinging to listen to her, hadn't I? I just stopped, didn't I? That's not what I meant. I want today to be the last day you swing that bat. I'm sorry. It took me some time to understand what she was asking for. What's wrong with swinging a bat? Why? It's none of your business, is it? I'm not bothering anyone, am I? You are. Mion said it flat out. This didn't make any sense, and that was really irritating. When did I bother anybody? Mion was at a loss for words. But she finally made up her mind and spoke. Though she stuttered as she said it. Because, Kei-chan, that's somebody else's bat. You shouldn't borrow it without permission. It was left behind by a student who transferred, right? I'm just borrowing it until he comes back for it. Huh? Yeah, he transferred. Mion grew uncharacteristically flustered. That made it all too clear that his transfer was a lie. But strange, isn't it? For the older brother to transfer by himself, while his little sister stayed behind. Mion couldn't hide her reaction as my words shook her up. Kei-chan, you knew? Satoshi Hojo. Sadako's older brother, right? The one demoned away last year? As in Rat, right?
Yeah.
Did I know Rat's last name this whole time and I just never put it together?
Yeah.
When did we learn Satoshi's last name?
When you talk to Oishi?
Am I just a fucking idiot?
It's been a month since he last played!
Okay, alright. Okay, no, but we learned his last name recently, right? Like last chapter. I think I forgot Sadako's last name because they never fucking say it. They just say Sadako.
Maybe.
They don't ever, like, they call it,
when you talk to Oishi, when he talks about Satoshi,
he mentions a little sister, but he doesn't say what her name is.
no, I think that's when they, when you talk to, Tomitake.
So what I remember is
Well, Tomitake is they don't say who or anything like that,
Yeah.
so then you talk to Oishi once, and he talks about, he talks about it more, and then you talk to him a second time, and then he says the names. Or it might be the first
I think I just forgot Sadako's last name. Because I think they say Sadako's last name, like, at the beginning of the game, and then they never say it again.
Well,
'Cause
Oishi
I
definitely
couldn't-
talks about it.
I couldn't-
Oishi definitely say it.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. I think I just forgot it. Because, like, I couldn't tell you Rika's last name. I wouldn't even recognize it.
Where does she live?
The shrine.
What's the name of the shrine? Who owns the shrine?
Onikakushi.
What? What? Say Onikakushi?
Who owns the shrine?
Who are
God.
who? What's the family name of the people that were?
Hinamizawa? They're shrine maidens.
It starts with an F.
Yo, what's up? An F.
Furude.
Who?
Furude. She's Rika Furude. Furude.
Furude? I told you, I don't even...
They haven't talked about her name a lot, but when you go to the Furude Shrine for a picnic...
Oh, you mean when I go to the store to buy Furude to eat for the week?
No, when they went to the shrine for when Rena and Mion took Keiichi around the town
Yep.
to show him around, they went to
Uh-huh.
the shrine and Rika and Sadako come up to them while they're doing a picnic.
A picnic. Steal the picnic basket. Okay. So, yeah, as I said, like, because I, like, kind of know Mion's last name. I couldn't tell you. I know, like, Rena and Mion's last name. Like, I'd recognize it when I see it, and I knew that I saw that before. But they like, say Mion and Rena's last name a lot. They don't really, like, say...
It's because that's their, like, prime suspects.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
I'm blanking on her name now.
Good. Unable to respond to that, Mion fell silent. Rena asked me the same thing. Why did you start swinging that bat? ... She told me that Satoshi did the same thing, practicing his swings right before he went missing. Ellipses. So, is this some kind of omen for Oyashiro-sama's curse? I was looking for Oyashiro earlier. Mion panicked and looked around. Please, Keiichi, don't mention Oyashiro-sama so recklessly. I don't believe in him, but the others very much do. Rena especially.
Sonozaki.
Dangerously so? Anyways, you're scaring everyone. If you're just fooling around, then stop it. You have to stop acting like Satoshi. I was the one who was scared. Who do I have to thank for taking up this bat in the first place? But it still unsettled me knowing that my actions were overlapping with Satoshi's. It would be one thing if someone suggested it, but I thought I was making my own decisions. Is this...
Yeah, it's
Keiichi. I'll say this now. I don't know anything about Satoshi. After all, you didn't tell me anything about him. We didn't mean to hide it. You were hiding the incidents that happened every year, weren't you? That's because we didn't want to, You didn't want to scare me? That's your reason for leaving me out? No, we didn't mean to. Mion, I asked you directly if something happened at the dam, didn't I? And you told me nothing happened. When someone was dismembered and murdered, you lied to me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lie to you. Friends don't hide anything from each other, right? Isn't that right? Then you all aren't my friends. Keiichi, we... Mion looked helpless and flustered. Was I imagining the tears in her eyes?
Was he?
I don't know. She's got that sweat and the OG Sprite. I never could have imagined Mion acting like this. Oh, by the way, those get well mochi you brought the other day? They were good. I thought I was gonna bleed. Who did it? You? Or Rena? Me. She admitted it so easily. I couldn't help but be surprised at how easy that was. You could have Oh, hello. You could have killed me. How could you do that to a friend? But it was just a little prank. Mion gave me a wry smile mixed with confusion, causing even more anger to well up inside me. You think that was a prank? I grabbed Mion by the collar and lifted her up. What? You telling me this dude just reaches out and like up?
No, just like
Just like a little bit? He doesn't like fall on, pick
just
her
like
6 feet
grab
off
the collar and lift. Just lift up by the collar and you're like pulling the person toward. Yeah. You don't have to. It's not me
doesn't
like
have to be
I'm
like-
fucking holding you by the neck, choking you out as far above my head as I can hold you.
Like comically far up.
It's not fucking Bane.
That wasn't the same as putting Tabasco sauce in a piece of mochi. It was a needle, a sewing needle. If I had swallowed that and it lodged in my throat, what did she think would happen? Mion's face froze as her body rattled in fear. This wasn't the Mion Sonozaki I knew anymore. Anyways, you're not my friend. There's no reason for me to listen to someone who's not my friend. So just leave me alone for a while. Got it? Mion wasn't replying anymore. It won't be that easy to erase me, you know. The cops have been on to you from the start. So don't think you can make me disappear like you did Satoshi. I said it clearly. This was my declaration of war. I was about to say, he really is just putting the cock on the table right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Laying it all out.
Like, he really is just putting it fucking down. I think you guys are suspects in the previous incidents, too. I also know you spent a lot of time with the cops ever since the anti-dam movement. Don't think you can hide it from me. Got that? How did you know? Mion stood there with a dumbstruck look on her face. Dude, I remember even when I started this game, I didn't like any of the four of them. They, like, especially Rika, they suss me the fuck out. But, like, the further I get into the game, the more justified I feel.
Yeah. Well, I think you'll change that feeling even further into the game, into the other
great.
games.
That was when I heard the principal ringing the bell for school. It was time for more
It was
homeroom.
censored.
Let's go.
Rika? Like what can possibly be?
The class representative needs to be there,
Okay.
right? At that moment, for the first time, I realized Mion was sobbing as tears ran down her cheeks. You're so mean, Kei-chan. Me. I wanted to console her, but I shut my mouth. I had no need to feel guilty. I'm going. Oh, that's Kei-chan. I'm going. Don't be late for homeroom. I left Mion, still shaking as I turned around to head for the entrance. I had no idea how troubling it was to make a girl cry. Behind my back, I could hear her muttering. It was a faint mutter as she was speaking to herself. See, that's where if he's even more Chad, he turns around and he gives her a fucking look and points the bat at her and then walks back into the building. So that's how it is.
It's Mion, then
Mion?
Keiichi.
So that's how it is. Huh? She wasn't saying it to anyone. It was Mion talking to herself. But it was a sobbing voice that had a kind of giddy, cursing tone. I inadvertently stopped and turned back towards her. He does turn around! So it was that bastard. He leaked all of it to Kei-chan. She balled up her fists as her tears continued to rain down. She glared at a spot on the ground with a terrifying yet smiling face, cursing. A chill ran down my spine from that demonic expression. This transformation, Mion's transformation, was different from Rena's. I should have killed him back then. He forgot the mercy I showed him just because he was going to retire this year. Retiring this year? Was she talking about Oishi-san? Damn it. Damn it. I'm going to kill you. The damn old man. Raw. It felt like the air itself had become distorting. With Mion at the center, the world had begun to twist and spiral, bending, whirling. This was the first time I'd experienced such a visage. Rise! Attention! Mion made up in... Was that Mion?
It was Mion, because she's class president.
Oh, yeah. You know, her voice gets a little high-pitched and, like, her nose is clogged and all that, yeah. You know how it gets.
Yeah, she was just blowing her eyes out, so it's fine.
Yeah. Mion made an excuse for her red eyes by saying there was something wrong with her contacts. Mion wears contacts?
I don't think so, no.
After that, neither Rena nor Mion spoke to me for the rest of the day. Neither Sadako nor Rika-chan looked me in the eye. Strangely, I didn't feel hurt. Everything had just went back to the way it was. The month since I transferred in had almost been too much fun. That was all. School was supposed to be something like this to begin with. I should have disliked that feeling, but today it felt oddly refreshing. The bell rung, sounding the end of the monotonous school day, which had felt so tense yet so dull. Since it would cause a lot of unpleasant memories if they asked me to join in club activities, I promptly started preparing to go home even without looking at them. I stuffed the contents of my desk into my bag, wrapped my hand around Satoshi's now familiar bat, and began heading towards the entrance. I was...
Assailed.
Assailed by both the exhausting relief that nothing had happened today and the tiring possibility of the same thing repeating tomorrow. But deep down inside me, far beneath in the recesses of my heart, achingly I knew this would be the last day of this cycle. Fuck off.
I wasn't laughing at you.
Dude, fuck you. Regardless, fuck you. I couldn't tell how
I just like
the
how
ending
on
would
the
be.
nose this shit is sometimes.
Whether it would end as I wished it to end, or if it would end as I hoped it wouldn't. Regardless, in my current state, there was something more important than how things would end. There was something I wanted to know. Why did I have to be killed? How did it come to this? Why? For what purpose? The sunlight was relentless. The sun, the heat, even the air. They wouldn't give me my answers. Or could it be that the cries of the Higurashi were desperately trying to tell me something? Somewhere, mixed in with their shrieks, Tomitake-san and Satoshi were probably trying to tell me something.
Flash.
Tomitake-flash. I simply haven't been able to realize it yet. When I do realize it, I wonder if I will be amongst the Higurashi fruitlessly crying to their next victim. Glancing down at my feet, I saw a Higurashi on its back, spasming weakly. Bream, bream, bream. There was still much of the summer left, yet this one was already chirping its last song. I couldn't tell what it was saying, no matter how hard I listened. But I had to try. I had to try to listen to what it was desperately trying to tell me. I hate that. Have you experienced this in real nature before?
Where it goes quiet?
Yeah. Where everything is like super, super loud and then
No,
it's silent?
not really.
It's awful. It's horrible. I hate it. At that moment, the shrills of the Higurashi ceased all at
Typically
once.
means there's a predator nearby.
That's why I hate it. As if...
Then you get the fucking creepy music.
As if they had huddled together, fearing that the person who brought them to their dreadful fate had arrived. There was no mistaking it. A presence was approaching. The sound of footsteps was almost non-existent, so if I'm Mion, I just shoot him.
Yeah,
You
with her
just
gun.
shoot him.
That's
With the
never
gun, the gun that she has.
That,
She just
that
has
no
a
one
gun.
ever mentions or even
She-
brings up. Or
She has a gun.
She just has a gun.
She has a gun. You just shoot him.
Well, she leaves her, regular clothes at home, so she doesn't have her gun on her when she goes to school.
Here's what I do, right? I'm Mion in this situation. I'm a crazy like cult leader in this random town in the middle of bumfuck Egypt. I go home. I go home. I put my gun in my school bag. I go to school. I say, "All right, Keiichi,
School shooter up this.
let's
this
dance." Yep. And then we dance, and it's like, okay, yep, I understand. You know, he does his whole spiel today. Then he starts walking home, and I go, bang, and you just shoot him in the back of the head. He's dead. That's it.
There you go.
You're done.
Out in broad daylight.
Yeah, game over. I mean, who's gonna report you? The cult town that like is covering for you? No. Just shoot him in the back of the head. What's he gonna do?
Okay.
What's he gonna do? He's gonna die. Unless he's built different. He's made out of steel.
Man, Keiichi and the steel man.
Yeah, Keiichi fucking literally the man of steel. Like, you just shoot him. End of the game. If the sound of footsteps was almost non-existent. If the Higurashi hadn't warned me by ending their chirping, I wouldn't have noticed. My exhaustion left me in a heartbeat. In its place was a rush of adrenaline that sharpened all of my senses. I was just barely able to hold back that creeping, suffocating feeling of horror. It wasn't something I could hold back for long. But in this moment, when I needed to be razor sharp, I was able to retain my composure. Who's it gonna be? I wasn't going to shout like I did yesterday. I hid myself calmly amongst the trees, waiting for my pursuer's shadow. Could I get them to pass by me? No. Since I was able to hear their footsteps, they were probably also able to hear mine. They might have already been able to tell that I'd hidden myself and was holding my breath. The person tailing me, was it Rena, just like yesterday? If it was Rena, I wouldn't hold back. I could just yell at her and make her go ahead like yesterday. If it wasn't Rena, it would depend on how they acted, I guess. The footsteps ambled closer. I swallowed, wiped my clammy hands on my pants, and readjusted the grip on the bat. I could tell that the fear that I had beaten back once was now waiting for another opening to come at me. Who could it be? Who could it be now? I peeked out from behind the tree at the person following me. Rika. It's Rena. My imagination hadn't led me astray. It was Rena. No purple line on the hands? What's the point? There was a bit of a relief as I realized it was someone I knew, but that feeling left me in an instant. This wasn't the same Rena that I knew. Dude, fucking Keiichi? Based. Absolutely based. Keiichi is fucking goated. Her eyes were dark and lifeless. Even before, like, everything took the crazy turn, Keiichi was goated. Her mouth appeared as if it was carved into a crescent. Yes, it looked like she was grinning slightly. And in her right hand was an axe. She was the bitch with the axe murder at the start of the game.
Okay.
I hid myself behind the tree once again and recalled the unbelievable sight I just saw. What was that just now? The embodiment of terror laid bare.
I just remember Tomitake saying something similar.
Oh, okay. It's true! Baseball. Practicing my swing, there were tons of excuses for me to be carrying a bat. But for that axe? There was no excuse for that. Hey, remember that time when she carried the axe?
She carried that axe to the dump?
Go cut the lumber?
Yeah. And Tomitake was freaked out?
That's great. We call that a throwback! There was no excuse for that. Axe? Just like that?
Just like that?
Alright, Rina for the first time in a month.
Oh shit.
You don't get to make commentary anymore. You gotta participate.
I have to participate, yeah. Alright. Keiichi-kun. Are you playing hide and seek, I wonder? I wonder.
He actually nailed it first fucking try. Give me some. My heart was pounding.
It started with Keiichi, so that's easy.
Hard enough that I had trouble breathing. Yeah, I need to get my starter word back for Mion. What little composure I had been able to hold on to was now crushed. In its place, cold sweat gushed forth, covering my entire body, letting me know precisely what kind of emotion had taken hold. Not good, not good, not good. I wasn't able to hide myself completely. He's too fat. She already knew I was here.
Well, you're trying to scare me, I wonder. I wonder.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I decided that it would be better to reveal myself now, since there was still space between us that would allow Rena to come any closer. Or than allow Rena. I adjusted my grip on the bat again, readied myself mentally, and stepped out from behind the tree. Yeah, at this point, you just gotta dance, bro.
I found you, Keiichi-kun.
Rena was pleased that she found me. Eliciting, that's the one. Eliciting a mysterious giggle. Her mouth was smiling, but her eyes told me she was displeased by the fact that I had been hiding. Those eyes. They were just so empty. My legs began to quiver. Not good. In the pit of my stomach, some sort of viscous, hot, and cold substance began spreading around. Is he really gonna fucking just... Oh, okay. I was like, is this bro really gonna fucking just uke all over the place? I'm like, come on, Keiichi. If I allowed it, that substance would slip into my bloodstream and undoubtedly freeze all of the organs in my body. Not good. Not good. I'll be devoured by Rena at this rate. Vor. Strike back. Don't lose. What is it? I blustered, hiding behind my bravado. But Rena didn't flinch one bit.
Just the same as Keiichi-kun. I'm heading home.
Then what about that axe?
Then what about that bat you're holding?
She provides a good point. I'm practicing my swing.
Then I'm treasure hunting.
She provides a good point. This is a certified touche moment. Rena gave a flippant explanation as to why she had such a fearsome weapon. Treasure hunting?
At the treasure mountain near the dam site, I found a new cute thing. So I needed this to dig it out.
How could I believe that?
You wouldn't believe it, would you?
Rena's laugh was obviously very strange. I love my man's getting called the fuck out right now. I'd seen Rena's transformation many times before, but the one today was completely different. Like her mischievous tone and the shrewd glint in her eye. It wasn't something that roundabout. I'm not sure what to say. It was just so obvious.
Wait, Keiichi-kun?
Unless... Rena didn't stop walking, even as she let out that eerie laugh. Whenever Rena got too close to me, I would scurry away and turn back towards her. This cycle repeated over and over. Imagine just not walking backwards. I was being chased by Rena and was trying to escape. Just don't follow me!
I can't do that. My house is this way after all.
When I met with Rena on this road yesterday, she cowered and trembled as she followed my commands. But today was different. Rena didn't show a hint of trepidation.
Hey,
Actually.
You actually caught it.
Fuck you. Actually, wasn't I the one who was cowering? If the way home for Rena and me was the same, that's fine. I'd just change my route. That'd work out, wouldn't it? I turned onto a side street I'd never been down and I knew little about. But Rena saw me do that and followed me while laughing. Why? Why? Aren't you going home? Then just go home down the street you normally do. The thing I hate about Keiichi is half the time he's goated, the other half the time he's fucking bitch made. There's no in between.
Keiichi, you fool!
Why would you follow me down this weird little side road? Those thoughts screamed in my head, eventually spilling out of my mouth. Why are you following me? The tone of my voice was already tinged with terror.
Yeah, I think you got that tinge a little bit wrong. Because I want to talk to Keiichi-kun. Keiichi-kun wants to talk to Rena too, doesn't he? Doesn't he?
I'm giving him the bitch made voice right now. He's earned it. I don't want to talk about anything with you.
That's a lie, isn't it? There's something you want to talk to me about, isn't there?
Not at all. I have nothing to talk to you about.
That's a lie, isn't it?
It's not a lie.
Lies!
Rena's scream echoed, startling some nearby birds into flight. You know, the thing I like these sprites, I feel like the OG sprites show less, or the new ones show less aggression than, the old ones do. She looks like she's gonna kill you, and this, it's, kinda angry.
Ryukishi is better at showing the emotion he wants to portray in these sprites.
Yeah, he just can't draw.
And he can't draw, and these are just more generic, faces. They're just very generic and kind of don't really fit.
Well, I really like how they have cheese wedge eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cheese wedge eyes with, the angry eyebrows do, a really good job displaying, I'm gonna kill you. I cringed in fear. The only other thing I could do was increase my pace.
Let's talk, Keiichi-kun. Talk.
Why was I running down this unfamiliar and deserted street?
Doesn't Keiichi-kun have something he's worried about?
Nothing at all. I'm not worried about anything.
Lies!
Even though I was running, even though Rena was walking, why wasn't I getting any farther away?
I know. I really do know. You're scared, aren't you, Keiichi-kun?
I'm not scared. I'm not scared of anything.
Lies!
Why is Keiichi fucking bitch made right now, dude? I'm pissed. My breathing grew heavy and it feels like my legs were giving out from beneath me. Rena wasn't even breaking a sweat. This is like stalking a cat.
I'll listen. This time I'll listen.
I had no idea what she was talking about, or what exactly she wanted to do.
This time I'll listen. It'll be different from the time with Satoshi-kun.
When she said Satoshi's name, I turned back for a moment. But even as I did that, Rena was still advancing. I couldn't afford to stop.
Satoshi-kun was worried too. It looked like he was having such a hard time. But I didn't listen. I was so sad.
Where did the street connect to? All these twists and turns, ups and downs. It was hard to believe that this was even remotely in the direction towards my house. My sense of direction had long since gone out the window.
I really regretted it when Satoshi-kun transferred out. I thought if I had listened, he may not have transferred out. I really regretted that.
The road led me deeper into the forest. Wasn't I getting farther away from the village the more I ran? I lost more and more of my composure the more I thought about it. But despite this realization, my inner self was still disturbingly calm.
Now, so you see, I vowed that if there was someone struggling like Sakoshi-kun did, I'd save them. I don't want to see anyone transfer out again.
Damn it! What does transfer even mean?
What does transfer even mean?
What does it mean? I won't let you transfer me. I won't end up as the same as Satoshi.
Come on, Keiichi-kun, talk to me. I'll be able to understand you, Keiichi-kun. I'm your ally.
I started wheezing out of breath. Okay, here's my beef, right?
You got a lot of beef.
He takes...
You can make a whole hamburger with all this beef.
I could. He takes all this time talking so much shit. He talks a big game. He talks mad shit. He pulls up to school. He pulls his dick out. He tells Mion to suck it, right?
Uh-huh.
And then the second anyone steps up to him, he's bitch made. He runs for his life and is a little fucking piss in his pants pussy.
Yeah. Here.
Bitch made. Absolutely bitch made. I hate him. He's Chad. He talks so much Chad shit and doesn't do any of it. He's a coward. At this point, bro, you get into the most open area you can, you look at Rena and you say, swing, motherfucker. And if she swings, you full send it, bro. In a court of law, you're Gucci. It's self-defense. You just send her, bud. You fucking send her. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just fucking send her, bud.
He got more bark than he got bite.
He's a pussy.
What's good?
I just fucking... Ugh. My lungs were so hot that they felt like they were going to explode, and my heart was beating as hard as it possibly could. I should have practiced running instead of my swing. Also, he literally could have just done that. He could have just run and, like, jogged and not been suspicious. I couldn't even afford to scoff at that stupid thought.
If Keiichi-kun doesn't have anything to worry about, he'll go back to normal. Everyone will go back to being friends, and we can enjoy club activities again. Next time we'll team up and beat Me-chan.
Yeah, how much fun that would be. Rena couldn't even imagine how much I had wished I could turn back the clock on these past few days.
You could be nice to me again, too. I want to go searching for treasure again. This time I'll prepare a nice lunch. Actually, we could just go right now. Let's go up to the dam site together. I'll show you the cute thing I just found.
Manga giga, dude.
I'm sure you'll like it too.
Damn sight? Manga. My footsteps made pathetic flapping sounds as my legs wobbled and flattered. Hot on my heels, Rena's steps were sharply breaking twigs underfoot. I had to accept it. I was on the run, being chased by Rena. If she caught me, it was all over. Just climb up a tree, bro. I realized it instinctively. I couldn't even begin to think of what the end would entail. Just that I was caught. It was all over. That's all I knew. It didn't matter how it was going to end. I wouldn't let it end. Not without knowing anything. Not yet. Chad move? He pauses and turns around. Never mind. That momentary lapse was all it took. Of all the things that could have happened, my knees buckled underneath me and I crumpled towards the ground. I tried to stand, frantically urging my legs to respond. I used my bat as a makeshift cane to prop myself up, but Rena was already standing right in front of me. Compared to me, out of breath and utterly exhausted, Rena was so cool and composed that she could have froze the air around her. She wasn't breathing hard at all. Rather, I couldn't even sense if her heart was beating. Just start swinging, bro.
Are you afraid of something? I wonder. It's not like you to tremble, Keiichi-kun.
Her expression looked almost affectionate. Those soulless eyes, that mask of affection. As she admonished me for trembling, Rena's hands deftly slipped over her head. The blur of arms as they moved made me feel as I was staring at the godlines?
Godliness.
Godliness of the thousand-armed Buddha. Then, as both of her hands met above her head, the axe that she held came into focus. I stared up at it in disbelief. It was all I could do. Tell me, what happened to Satoshi? Then she says this and swings. Rena stayed like that, with the axe raised above her head, and solemnly opened her mouth. It was as if she was expressing a farewell to a friend she was never to see again. That cruel scenario resided somewhere in her actions.
I told you. Satoshi-kun transferred out.
Enough of that transfer crap. It means demoned away, doesn't it? Doesn't it? You can tell me now, can't you? Who made Satoshi disappear? Was it you? Mion? Or someone in the village? Answer me. I became frantic the more I screamed, but Rena did nothing but maintain the smile frozen on her face.
I have no idea what Keiichi-kun is talking about.
Then I'll say it in a way so you do. Who is the perpetrator of this chain of mysterious deaths?
You seem to be confused, Keiichi-kun.
Why?
There's no human perpetrator. Everything is by Oyashiro-sama's will.
Isn't Oyashiro-sama's curse just superstition? You believe in that too?
It's not about believing or not. Oyashiro-sama exists. Period.
Question her faith. Rena's gaze grew even more gilded?
Gallad, I don't know.
Gallid? The ferocity of her stare was so intense, not allowing me to question anything. There's just no way that something like Oyashiro-sama could exist.
You don't believe in Oyashiro-sama?
There's no way I could believe it. There's no way it could exist.
It exists. Oyashiro-sama exists. Keiichi-kun should have felt it personally.
I never felt something like that. That's just not true.
Keiichi-kun, haven't you felt someone apologizing to you before? Constantly, on top of all that?
Well, he also felt, the presence in the doorway. Ghost.
Ghosts!
All noise from the outside world disappeared. Only Rena's voice resounded loudly and terribly. Oh, do I have water?
You see, until you forgive them, they'll always be with you. At school, at home, at your bedside.
I couldn't understand what Rena was saying.
It came to me too. Oyashiro-sama did. That's why I transferred and came back to Hinamizawa.
I don't understand. I don't understand. What does transfer even mean? What was Rena saying?
Hasn't Oyashiro-sama come to you as well, Keiichi-kun? I'm probably the only one who could confide in. I won't let you transfer out, okay?
Rena's demented laughter clanged around the side of my head. Inside of my head. Was Rena saying Oyashiro-sama came to her as well? That's right. Last night I had heard about that when I asked about Rena.
Oh shit. Is this?
Oishi.
Please keep this confidential. Also, part of this may be speculation. Not all of it may be true. Are you still interested?
Oishi-san began speaking.
Neither the victims nor the school filed complaints, so there is no preliminary report. Basically, the police hadn't intervened in this matter. So all of these details are just what I heard from those involved. Irish again. Meaning, it's not that credible.
You said there were victims? Didn't Rena just break all the windows?
No. Rena Ryugu had attacked 3 boys using a metal bat. Two of them made it out with only bruises, but the other had been injured so badly that one of his eyes was permanently damaged.
Wouldn't that be considered assault? Shouldn't the police have arrested her?
For whatever reason, the victim never pressed charges. There was no report to the police, so...
They were beaten with a bat and suffered significant injuries. Normally there would be a criminal investigation. But why didn't they press charges?
I tried asking the 3 male victims for the side of the story. I'm Irish again. Why is that so hard for me to say to walk?
He's got to go back to his roots.
I tried asking the 3 male victims for their side of the story, but they were all reluctant. It's hard to say, but they were all afraid. Even after she had transferred schools.
Oishi-san, could you summarize it starting from the beginning?
I did this better the first time.
Rena hit people while she broke the windows? Or was it she started breaking the windows after she got bored of hitting people? They sounded similar, but the meanings were drastically different.
On an undisclosed date, Rena Ryugu was conversing with 3 male students, close friends of hers, near the pool storage shed.
Who were those 3?
I
Satoshi.
can't reveal their names, but they were close friends of Rena Ryugu, and it seems they were a group of friends. She was the lone girl in their group.
So it wasn't that strange that the 4 of them were together. So what happened?
I don't know the reason why. She took the baseball team's bat that was in the pool storage shed and beat the 3 of them down. One after the other.
What? There were no witnesses. This was an account pieced together by information given at the time of the incident. One day after school, Rena and 3 male students were at the pool storage shed talking together. They weren't seeking help, rather, they usually met up there. It appears it became a heated discussion. At that time, Rena underwent a change. The change was so abrupt that the 3 of them didn't comprehend what was happening. Oh, I gotta hit it every time. Then, taking the metal bat, she attacked her friends one after the other, leaving her friends covered in blood with gashes on their heads. She made her way towards the school building. She then broke the glass windows one after the other. A few minutes later, a teacher appeared on scene and subdued her. What was this change Rena underwent?
What matches up with the statements from the 3 was a sudden change. The point that there was a transformation.
Transformation. I also could recall Rena's transformation. I'd seen that change many times before. It was so different from the usual Rena that I couldn't help but believe it was someone else who looked like Rena. That transformation they're talking about, had it happened before?
No, there was nothing like that. As far as I could find out in her medical history and past, there was nothing like that.
Does this happen often? Where people suddenly change like Rena did?
Of course it does. There are plenty of psychological phenomena that could cause something like that.
Then you're saying there was a dormant element in Rena that caused the transformation.
I cannot say for certain, but according to the statements of her friends, it was hard to believe she had such a...
He's just going into a different character.
I just lost it. It just left. I cannot say for certain, but according to the statements of her friends, it's hard to believe she had such a side to her.
Kind, caring, and adorable. Even before she transferred here, she was probably pretty popular in school like she was now. That girl transforming suddenly and assaulting them with a bat. Who could imagine such a thing? Nobody could have seen it coming. I myself believe that I was mistaken for thinking it was Rena.
See, that's the problem. Ever since I played that level, I've never been able to do a Russian accent.
Then, what happened after that?
There was a hospital right across from the school. So the three of them were carried there and treated quickly.
What about Rena? What about the police? Why wasn't there a criminal investigation?
You see, the police can't get involved unless they are called.
Even though one was badly injured with permanent damage? Why didn't they file charges?
That's what caught my attention as well. Either some threat or pressure was placed on them, or they had a reason they couldn't file charges even if they wanted to.
We're talking about you, after all. Of course you looked into it, didn't you?
Well, yeah. But I told you at the beginning, didn't I? That the victims were all very reluctant to talk. They didn't want to touch the subject, or rather, they didn't want to be involved.
Reluctant to talk. Didn't want to touch it. Didn't want to be involved. It resembled the villagers here and Oyashiro-sama's curse. Did the teacher at the school tell you anything?
A school is a hollowed ground. You could say they tend to keep scandals under wraps. I didn't have a such warrant. Warrant. I didn't have a such warrant, so I had to tread lightly, you see.
Then there was no comment from the school.
No. They denied the incident even happened.
Huh. It's just 3 male students were carried in for blunt force trauma that day. Ah.
Yeah. It's just 3 male students were carried in for blunt force trauma that day. That's all there was in the hospital records.
The victims didn't speak, the school denied it happened. Then you don't know anything at all.
Yeah. I know nothing other than the incident itself had taken place. The victims also wished this incident to be kept from the public, so if you and I had both forgot about it, my apologies, and this incident would probably just fade away.
For a brief period, we sat in silence. At first glance, it looked like a simple assault case, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. The depths were obscured by rolling waves sinking quietly into the void as if it never existed to begin with.
After that, she was suspended from the school, and during that time, she underwent psychiatric counseling.
Did you hear anything from that doctor?
Again, they were very professional in regards to the ethics, or at least very tight-lipped.
Nothing even after you showed them your badge.
I was told to get a warrant. The badge itself has no legally binding authority after all.
Then, how do you know that Rena confessed that it was Oishi-sero? Oh my god, Oishi? Oyashiro. Oishi, you son of a bitch! It was Oyashiro-sama who did it.
There was a nurse I asked in that department. She agreed to help me just from showing her my badge.
Then, what did she say? Turns out the nurse hadn't heard everything. Apparently, all that she remembered was what she overheard from inside the room.
The nurse said at the time, Rena Ryugu was very calm and mild-mannered.
It was more like she was confessing her sins at church than a counseling session. She spoke with her mother there for some of it, but partway through her mother was asked to leave, so it became a private counseling session between just the doctor and Rena for a while. The part with Oyashiro-sama, when did that pop up?
Totally through. She screamed the name suddenly. That startled the nurse, and that's why she started listening in. It was Oyashiro-sama.
Rena suddenly shouted that. I had no idea what was said before that, so I had no idea what the meaning behind it could have been. The doctor... Oh, that was Oyashiro. Oh, well. The doctor calmly and collectedly asked Rena to have a seat.
What is this Oyashiro-sama you speak of?
Gently, ever so gently. The fundamentals of counseling would be believing what you were told.
Whoever abandons Hinamizawa will be hunted down by Oyashiro-sama. And they've finally gotten to me.
And that's the town you lived in before you moved here. Isn't that right, Ryugu-san?
I didn't want to move, but because my mom and dad's circumstances, we had to. But Oyashiro-sama wouldn't allow it.
Ryugu-san must have lots of friends in Hinamizawa. Even now, you must be missing them dearly, don't you think?
I want to go back. Back to Hinamizawa. No, it's not that I want to go back. I have to go back. I should have gone back much sooner. I don't, but now it's too late. Oyashiro-sama has come.
Oyashiro-sama is the name of the god in Hinamizawa, isn't that right?
Everyone knows it's Hinamizawa's guardian deity. And if you ever try abandoning Hinamizawa by leaving, you'll incur his wrath.
You had moved quite a while ago, didn't you? Then it was just now that this god had arrived, is what you're saying.
You might not believe me, but Oyashiro-sama exists.
That nurse was then asked by another nurse to do something and left the room. That was all she remembered. That it was Oyashiro-sama's doing, right?
Hold on. I do believe there is that kind of superstition in Hinamizawa. That if you leave the village, then you'll incur Oyashiro-sama's wrath. You should be familiar with this part, Mayabara-san.
I knew very well what those scorned by the village incurred. To hinder the dam construction project, they cursed the construction foreman to his death. Then the following year, Sadako's parents, supporters and leading advocates for the dam, were cursed to their death. But this was the first time I've heard of the curse incurred by leaving the village. This is my first time hearing that. I can understand outside threats being cursed by the village, but why also villagers who leave? Normally people who live the village aren't supposed to be cursed, right? I know it's a bit strange to say it, but I could see it as a rule that the people who come in are the ones who would be cursed. Far from Jupiter, far from his thunder. Curses weren't something to chase after people that leave, were they? Oishi-san pondered for a bit over the other end of the receiver, then began speaking again.
Well, I told you long ago when Hinamizawa was called Onikakushi, didn't I?
I recalled hearing that. Long ago, Hinamizawa was feared and respected as the village of ogres.
Oni. The villagers at the foot of the mountains worship the ogres. So Onikakushi was hollowed ground that you could never enter. It came to be said that if you entered carelessly, you were cursed by Oyashiro-sama.
Those who set foot in Onikakushi, in other words, Hinamizawa, would be cursed. I could understand that. I know that, but for leaving to also be no good, that's...
Also, the ogres, you see, they were being strictly watched by Oyashiro-sama so they would not enter into our world. In other words, Oyashiro-sama probably restricted the interaction between Onikakushi and the rest of the world.
I see. I finally understood what sort of thing Oyashiro-sama was. So basically, Oyashiro-sama is more like a warden than a protectorate deity, I guess. Trying to keep this place isolated from the rest of the world.
I guess that's how it would seem. I'm sorry, I don't know very much myself. This is mostly what I was passed on to me from my grandmother.
I could understand it a bit better if it was like that. Those who came to Hinamizawa would be cursed, and those who tried to leave would also be cursed. So, because Rena originally lived in Hinamizawa and moved away, she fulfilled the requirements for being cursed. So that means, because Rena moved away against its wishes, she was cursed by Oyashiro-sama. Is that what it adds up to?
In short, that seems to be what it points to. I guess. As a matter of fact, soon afterwards, they did move back to Hinamizawa, after all.
Those who abandoned Hinamizawa and left were cursed. But then, why only Rena? Shouldn't Rena's parents also have been guilty of the same transgression by moving away and have been cursed? Also, in this day and age in Japan, shouldn't there be a lot of people coming and going? If every single one of them was cursed, then it'd be insane. But in reality, it wasn't that big of a deal at all. At most, there would be one person dying and one disappearing on the day of the Watanagashi. I don't like saying at most, though. Well, anyways, no. This is Keiichi. Well, anyways, there's a lot I still don't know. Even if it was Oyashiro-sama's curse, it doesn't add up as to why her classmates, the victims who were beaten with a metal bat, wouldn't press charges. You don't think the victims were cowering because they believed that a terrible curse had befallen them, do you? Of course, I didn't want to believe it. But more importantly, I had just realized something else. There was another bizarre connection that Rena made between Oyashiro-sama's curse and metal bats. Satoshi fell victim to Oyashiro-sama's curse and went missing. I had recently learned that Satoshi had also become infatuated with the metal bat right before he disappeared, like me. Then Rena as well. She was affected by Oyashiro-sama's curse. She confessed that much to the doctor. And the weapon which she had used at the time of that horrendous act was, again, a metal bat. And finally, me. I'd encountered various things that were inexplicable, and now I was holding onto a metal bat. I was shocked when I learned that Satoshi did the same thing. It couldn't be. Had the same thing happened to Rena? But there was one critical difference between her and Satoshi's case. That being, Satoshi went missing after falling victim to the curse, but Rena was still here. Both of them had fallen victim to Oyashiro-sama's curse, yet they were met with different endings. And finally, me. I couldn't call it coincidence anymore. Rena, Satoshi, and finally me. Could it be that I was really under Oyashiro-sama's curse right now? No. More importantly than that, what should I do now? Satoshi had been demoned away, vanishing without a trace. Rena was fine. Fine. Rena had undergone a change. I could only believe that there was something that wasn't Rena residing in her. And here, right now, it was standing before me. So are we just, like, back now?
We're back.
Did Rena, like, did you just black out for, like, an hour? And Rena's just like, well, I guess I'm not gonna kill you. Rena, please tell me. What will happen to me? Rena stood imposingly, not answering. Satoshi disappeared, but Rena didn't disappear. So what will happen to me? I had never heard such an unpleasant laugh before.
Yeah.
It had become akin to the sound of her breathing. It was no longer a voice or an expression of feeling.
Don't worry, I'll save you.
Rena took one step forward, still holding the axe high above her head.
Now then.
One step closer. Rena's face spread out to fill my vision.
Speak.
One step closer. Rena's nose was close enough to touch mine and was still pushing closer.
There's something you want to say, isn't there? I'll listen. I'll save you, okay? Speak, okay? Speak, Okay.
So realistically, she can't even hit him with the axe at this point.
Yeah, I guess.
If she's like that close to him when she swings down, like she can't even get her hands like over him.
It'd be a hug.
Yeah, literally, yeah. Like all she can do is like hug him, right?
Uh-huh.
Because like with an axe, you need range because it's only the tip of it that does anything.
Yep.
The rest is like a log. Yeah, she can't even hit him at this point. He's safe. He's literally safe. Unless like he's under her, which he is now under her, meaning he's not safe. I slumped down, landing squarely on my butt. But it wasn't for some pathetic reason. It was all I could do to get as far away from Rena. T.Y. Rena? I had the gut feeling that I couldn't let her laughter end. Because when that laughing ended, the moment I picked up on that feeling, my body moved by instinct. I sprang up to my feet as fast as I could believe and pushed Rena away with both hands. Rena was as light as a feather. That's what I'm saying. He literally, like, this man obliterates Rena in any form of combat. She dies any day of the week. She's like a glass cannon. You hit her once, every bone in her body snaps in fucking half. You win this fight all day. Thrown about by the unbalanced weight of the axe, she was sent backwards as if she had been carried off by the wind. After confirming that out of the corner of my eye, I dashed off at full speed. I was the perfect picture of fleeing like a greased pig. Okay? Get away from Rena. Run away. Survive. I couldn't think of anything other than this. While I was running, I remember I had been holding onto the bat the entire time. Such a worthless weapon. I couldn't believe I'd forgotten about this weapon at such an important time. Does he just, like, yeet it? I sped even farther down the winding path. I didn't even feel myself gasping for breath, or my legs getting heavy. My body understood it as well. If I didn't run away from here, I wouldn't live. I could hear the laughing of that schmerculum.
Simulcrum.
Simulcrum? Simalcarum?
I don't know that word.
Simalcarum of Rena coming from behind me? It rang through the trees and in my head and slowly chiseled away at my sanity.
Go away. It wasn't close. The stream.
Nice. The groove of the
The grove.
The groove. The grove of the trees thinned out. My field of vision suddenly expanded. Where was this? For a moment, I was bewildered by the scenery. I know where he is. He's at the damn construction site.
Yeah.
Because that's what we've been leading to this whole time. For a moment, I was bewildered by the scenery. I felt I knew, but couldn't quite remember. I quickly realized it was the damn site. I'm just better than everyone else. The fact that I dashed madly and ended up in a place like this gave me a bad feeling, like I was following someone's scripted plot. I had a good view of my surroundings, but I didn't see a single soul here. This was a terrible spot for someone on the run, but there was no better place for an attacker. My heart was already on the verge of bursting. The muscles in my legs were screaming, but I didn't care. If I stopped here, then they might not even be able to scream for much longer. Even still, I glanced back looking for an excuse to rest. Rena wasn't there. Instead, I saw two villagers walking around. I breathed a sigh of relief that it wasn't Rena but a third party. Except the voice inside me rang the alarm once again. Villagers walking around weren't suspicious in and of themselves, but it bothered me. They both wore rough-looking clothes, empty-handed. They definitely gave the impression that they were just out for a walk. But at this time of day, two adults wandering around without a purpose, it was enough to raise questions. But more than anything else, those eyes. They weren't chit-chatting while walking. They were both silent, heading forward, looking in my direction. Was I at the end of my rope, and had finally started imagining things? I should run away. That was probably the best choice. If they weren't involved, I'd lose them easily by running. If they were part of the group after me, then they would come running after me. Either way, unless I hurried up, Rena would catch up with me. That's right, I was going to run. Deciding that, the moment I began to turn tail, both of them rushed towards me as if they knew exactly what I was thinking. Somewhere inside me, I had jumped to the conclusion that Rena was the only thing I needed to be afraid of. I made that assumption that I didn't need to fear anything else. But right now, I realized just how blatantly wrong I was. Suddenly, the story Oishi told me about the demons all leaving the village to hunt prey floated through the back of my mind. I could tell they were both coming after me without even turning around because of their frenetic
Yep.
footsteps. It was frightening, being unable to shake Rena off as she slowly closed in on me. As she slowly closed in on me. But this didn't even compare. Being pursued with such violent ferocity, the straightforward horror was unparalleled. One of the pursuer's arms grazed my shoulder. Now, it wasn't just their frenzied footsteps, but also the distant sound of their breathing.
No, it's the
distinct sound of their breathing that I could hear.
Frenetic is like the opposite of rhythmic. So they're like off sync, very,
No.
and then
I could practically feel them breathing on me. They were already right behind me. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. Still running at full tilt, I felt the surrounding area go still. No, it felt like time itself had stopped. I love the Keiichi time stop ability. I like it. I like how he can just pause time.
Yeah, it's very useful.
I turned my head back slightly in that frozen world,
His other abilities.
realizing how close my pursuers had gotten to me. I couldn't win against the legs of an adult. In less than the time it would take to blink twice when this frozen time began moving again, they'd be right on top of me. On top of me, and then... Don't think about that, Keiichi. First, realize that you won't be able to shake them off like this. If the fact that you can't get away was a given, then you need to make a decision. Go with the right leg or go with the left? You just need to decide which one. Let's go with the left. The moment I decided that, the temporal singularity burst into pieces. Right. Left. I swung the bat in a wide arc with my right arm. Using that inertia, I stopped and suddenly spun.
What?
The two of them were clearly startled. Momentarily losing sight of me, both of their outstretched arms, ready to grab me, instead grasped at empty space. The man on the right, I applaud him being able to figure it out, spun around to the spot I shouldn't have been and faced me in astonishment. But it was too late. I didn't even need to swing my bat. All I needed to do was extend my arms as I turned around. Okay, what did he just do?
I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention all that much, honestly.
So, like, what it sounded like the mouse is on the far right monitor. Right?
I know.
Oh, okay, I thought you were gonna pull the log up. So from when it sounded like, is he stopped?
He was running away. He swung the bat at them to turn around. And so he turned around and went at them. But I don't know.
But they would have seen him. Keiichi can teleport, is what I'm hearing. So he swings.
I think he dodged to the side, used the bat to swing, and with momentum turn around and push into him.
Sure, we'll say that. I'm saying Keiichi teleports.
Right, left. I don't know.
I'm saying he teleports. It was by no means a heavy blow, but it seemed like it had enough power behind it to knock him off his feet. But just knocking him down wasn't enough to scare him away. He got back up in no time. Both of them took a fighting stance and were ready to face me. This made me certain that they weren't just two people out for a walk. They were clearly after me. It takes him this long to figure that part out. Eat, die. It felt much easier than dealing with Rena. Just by not recognizing their faces, by not knowing them, it made things easier. I smiled dryly on the inside. What do you want with me? Next one is going to be right in your face, you bastard. It was fine if it was just a bluff. By barking out at them, I was able to fire myself up. They didn't respond. They spread out to either side of me with unbelievably calm expressions on their faces. One of them would grab onto my bat, and the other would hold me down. Was that their plan? Taking on both of them at once would be impossible. Hot sweat poured from every pore in my body. Now I'd just have to settle it with the first move. I'd step in and strike the first one down. Narrowing my target down to the man on the right, who had already been knocked down before, I stepped in and swung with all my might. There was no way for an unarmed person to guard against it. It would cause immense damage. Why does he act like it's an RPG? He's playing a turn-based game. If they blocked it with their arm, their bone would just snap like a twig. That's not how bones work. If they turned their back to it, then it was possible that the blow would travel all the way to their vital organs. That's not how bats work. It looked like he was aware of this. He pushed farther through the kill zone between us and delivered a fist right into my gut. Not good. With this distance, in this position, in this state, there was no way for me to dodge it. Is Keiichi retarded? The world flipped upside down. I understood that I was being tossed around like a rag doll. I landed on the soft earth without a sound, feeling like the grainy soil pressing against my face. It didn't hurt at all. But the moment I thought that, I suddenly felt pain coming from the abrasions on my skin, as well as the contents of my stomach being forced upwards, flooding my mouth with a bitter sensation. I knew very well that I didn't have time to relish this experience. I stood up as quickly as I could, but as I did that, the other man was already barreling towards me. Being able to comprehend calmly that I simply couldn't dodge it made it all the more upsetting. After plowing into my stomach full force once again, my assailant twisted around behind me and locked his thick arm around my neck. My throat felt like it was being crushed by his immense strength. I couldn't even contemplate that I was being strangled or that I was going to go unconscious. My vision simply darkened and a silent whining noise began playing deep inside my mind. It took everything I had to keep myself from blacking out. While this was happening, the other man was more likely standing in front of me. I wasn't able to open my eyes, but I could feel that he was there. Keiichi is actually single-handedly the worst fighter I've ever seen in my entire life.
He's like,
there was nothing I could do now. What?
He's a kid.
How old is this man?
I don't know, probably 16.
You should be able to beat some ass at 16, bro. You have the upper hand. You're just bad. Dire straits. Unable to shake this arm off me, I couldn't run, I couldn't fight back. Dire straits. I couldn't even come up with the phrase that adequately described my situation. Yo, Keiichi fucking dies. I hope they throw him off the dam. A familiar ceiling. The smell of the bed and the pillows. I knew them well. Was this my room? Normally there wouldn't be anyone in my room besides me, but the presence made me spring wide awake. When I did that, pain shot throughout my entire body.
Keiichi-kun, feeling alright? I think you better just lie down for a bit.
Why was Rina in my room? Blood began to surge through my muscles and my capillaries. Capillaries?
Yeah. I don't know, I can't read.
But Rina's smile belonged to the Rina I knew well. I knew I shouldn't let myself feel this way if I relaxed, thinking that this version of Rina was safe. Why am I...
Don't you remember?
After losing consciousness, nothing at all. My body had become more lethargic than I could have ever imagined. I guess that would be the expected outcome after exerting everything I had back there. I tried to at least clear my head, but I just couldn't shake the sluggish feeling out of my mind. How come they didn't kill him?
I called the doctor. He should be here soon. I think you better just lie down until then.
I wasn't injured seriously enough to merit calling a doctor. But knowing that someone impartial was coming was slightly reassuring. Why am I here? I'm sure I was at the dam site.
That's what I want to know. What happened? When I got there, Keiichi-kun was already passed out.
That's why I'm the one who wants to know. I was attacked by two weirdos. As I talked about it, I finally remembered what happened right before I passed out. Recalling that memory and the terror that went along with it caused the fogginess around my head to clear right up. Let's forget about those two for now. I didn't expect Rena to be nursing me. I thought Rena was trying to kill me. She would have had the perfect chance while I was unconscious. Not only did she not kill me, she had nursed me back to health. Amazing you could drag me all the way back here. Wasn't I heavy? Looking at Rena's delicate frame, it was hard to believe that she had not only gotten me back home, but even dragged me all the way up to the second floor. Did she have some help?
Don't you remember, Keiichi-kun?
Rena appeared a bit surprised, but still kept her smile.
I only propped you up on my shoulder. You said you could walk on your own and that you were fine. You don't remember?
I didn't remember. My memory was fuzzy after the point where I lost consciousness. What about those two?
Huh?
When you got there, Rena, the ones with me, or rather those two guys.
There wasn't anyone.
She said it bluntly. The way she said it stated it felt slightly unpleasant. I was just too timid at the time. I might have been able to force some answer out of Rena. But if I did that, then this kind Rena might transform into the scary Rena who I didn't know. Fearing that, I didn't press any further. Thinking about it, it was the obvious choice. If both of those men were there, I don't think Rena would have even stood a chance. I couldn't find a way to explain it unless I assumed she brought me here after those two were already gone. Rena was still smiling. Her eyes sparkled warmly. Yet, I felt I was hallucinating when I saw something akin to a shadow slowly creeping across her face. That small omen sent shivers down my spine. While Rena was still Rena, I needed to make contact. I needed to contact Oishi-san. Rena stopped me when I tried to get out of bed. She said it would aggravate my wounds, so I should sleep. He just got punched! He didn't even get wounded! He got punched twice! That's not a wound! He took a knuckle sandwich! I scream. I'd like to go to the bathroom, though.
So sorry.
Rena couldn't say anything else. While Rena stayed in the room, I quickly went downstairs to get the phone receiver in the living room. Does he not remember that there's a phone upstairs in his room that she can listen into this conversation with?
He brings it from the living room to
Oh
his
my
room.
god, you're right, he does. Thank you. When I approached the front door, the doorbell rang ding dong. It must have been the doctor Rena had called. It was strange for a patient to welcome in the doctor who was making a house call. But it would be incredibly reassuring to have him here for a considerable time it would take Oishi-san to get here. I carelessly opened the door with that simple assumption and regretted it almost instantly. Mion with a gun. Bro. Shoot him.
He's just too good.
Shoot him. Shoot Keiichi. Shoot him. Shoot him in the face. Kill him. Shoot him in the heart. Kill him. Kill him right now. Kill him. Mion? Oh, you look just fine. I heard you collapsed. Whoa. I want to do Patrick Warburton for Mion, but I don't know how to do it anymore. You get that open and you get down. I heard you collapsed, so I came to check up on you. Well, I did Patrick Warburton for Tomitake-flash. How did you know I collapsed? I heard from Rena over the phone. Do I need any other reason than that? I understood why she would call a doctor. But why Mion too? Rena was descending from the stairs behind me. Rena, doesn't Kei-chan look pretty alright? Sheesh, you made me worry for nothing.
That's true. Maybe I worried for nothing as well.
They both began laughing. It appeared to be cheerful laughter, but I couldn't shake the feeling that there was a darkness looming over them. Whoa, what's up with this shoe rack? How did it get like this? The shoe rack I'd smashed to pieces had been like that since yesterday. I fell, you see. And the bat I was holding at the time slammed into it.
This is what happens when you swing around something you're not supposed to. You're not used to handling.
I kept the fact that it was none of their business to myself.
But leaving it like this will really startle your parents when they get home. I'll fix it up for you later.
Now, come on, Kei-chan. The terminally ill needs their rest. Come. Back in bed.
Both of them urged me up the stairs. I had no chance to call Oishi-san. They're gonna, destroy his phone. I was pushed into my bed.
You act like they haven't already cut his phone line.
He doesn't need the line, does he?
What do you think the wireless connects to?
Okay, yeah, alright, yeah, you're right. I forget how phones work, because now we got these bitches that,
I know.
they don't matter. As it was the first time Mion had been in my room, she began searching around it intently. She fiddled around in my room and was scolded by Rena. You can imagine how it went. It was uncomfortable having my room poked around, but the conversation was so benign that it was heartwarming. During that innocent conversation, Mion said something, though, as it was perfectly ordinary.
Rena, did you call the manager?
Yep. Right after I called Me-chan. He said be right over.
Manager? That out-of-place word gave me a bad feeling. Rena called a doctor, then called Mion, and after that she called a manager? Who was this manager? Since Rena and Mion's conversation was so peaceful, it only felt slightly odd. What are you two talking about? Who's this manager?
Ha ha ha! Didn't you know, Kei-chan? We mean the manager when we say manager.
Like the director of a movie. Or like a foreman of a construction site.
I dug through all of my memories for a manager who might have business with me. Only one thing came to mind. What Rena had just said. The construction site foreman. The very first victim of the first incident, the dismemberment at the dam construction site. The foreman? But that was strange. He was supposed to be dead. There was no way they could call him. Seance. I don't understand what you guys are talking about. What does that manager have to do with me? You said he was coming. Did you mean to my house? I asked one obvious question after another. But all the two of them did was smile coolly at each other. There was a huge difference between how the two of them appeared and how my suspicions were playing out. Slowly, I felt discomfort and panic welling up inside me. I couldn't understand what Rena and Mion were talking about.
Kei-chan, you've gotten into baseball lately, haven't you? Pretty sure the manager will be happy to hear that.
So who is this manager? Oh.
The manager is a manager.
So who is this manager? Rena and Mion looked at each other and laughed hauntingly. That disturbing cackle unpleasantly resounded around me. That laugh, long enough to be unsettling, ended abruptly.
Oh yeah. We should finish up before the manager comes. You remember, don't you, Kei-chan?
Her face was laughing, but Mion's eyes told a different story. Remember what?
Keiichi-kun, had he forgotten, I wonder, about the penalty? About the penalty?
Did you really forget? The homework with the mochi. The homework where you were supposed to guess which one Rena made. You forgot about that homework, didn't you?
I certainly did have that homework. But I had thrown away the rest of the mochi after I found that sewing needle. So I wasn't able to answer which one Rena made. The penalty for that... Why now? No doubt my question was written all over my face. Their answer to my question was that dry laughter. I could no longer make heads or tails of anything. I began to think this entire day was somehow insane. Strange. Incomprehensible. Being chased by Rena, attacked by strange men, the penalty Mion and Rena were talking about? What were those two laughing at? It didn't take that long for me to realize I had been dragged into an abnormal situation. Who were these two? Who were these people? Who were these doppelgangers of Rena and Mion? Rena had gotten behind me at some point. Why was she pinning my arms behind my back? What are you doing?
Don't move. This is your penalty.
They just beat the shit out of fucking Keiichi.
Just fucking.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, they just beat the shit out of him. My body was already very sluggish, and Rena pinning my arms made it much harder to move. I seriously tried to struggle, but she wouldn't even budge. My panic began to well up, and I realized that this was well beyond the realm of jokes and pleasantries. This freakishly monstrous strength, it would have been impossible for the Rena that I knew. Then, these thin, frail arms grasping me firmly. Whose arms were they?
Kei-chan, no struggling. Club rules. There are no exceptions. You can't fight against the penalty.
Mion, no, that thing that looked like Mion spoke to me like how Mion would speak to me. But I was certain that this was not Mion. Someone who wasn't Mion, someone who was just pretending to be Mion.
Need to finish this up before the manager comes.
Mion fished into her pockets and pulled out something bizarre. I could tell what it is just by looking, but for such a thing to be in her pocket, my mind wouldn't accept it. What is that? It was a small syringe. It was a small, clear syringe, like what a doctor would use when you went to him and you were sick. Rena held me even tighter, and I could hear that clattering laughter that no longer sounded like laughter blaring into my ear. That eerie laughter, it wasn't something like the Rena I knew could ever produce even from her own throat. This thing that was pretending to be Rena, was this their real laugh? Unable to defend myself, the syringe Mion was holding drew closer, and that needle tip was waved in front of my face countless times.
Imagine waving the tip in front of your face.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Why is she waving a tip of a syringe in his face?
She's not even waving like the syringe. She hasn't pointed at him.
It won't hurt, it won't hurt.
What are you planning on doing? What kind of sick joke is this?
What are you saying, Kei-chan? You know exactly what's going on, don't you?
About what? I don't understand any of this at all.
I know you know. No use playing the fool this late in the game.
Stop talking nonsense and to try and confuse me.
You're going to have done to you what happened to Tomitake-san.
Flash. What? The same as Tomitake-flash? I didn't really understand what she meant. What did that have to do with the syringe?
You're playing dumb, Keiichi-kun.
No.
Oh, whoops.
You're playing dumb, Keiichi-kun. You should have realized it by now.
Rena whispered into my ear, laughing as if to admonish me. But even the way she spoke was repulsive beyond compare. Playing dumb? Me? About what? What do you mean the same as Tomitake-flash?
I don't know. What have they done to Tomitake before?
Yeah, no shit, right?
Everyone thought at first that it was a hit and run. Except when the officer got...
No.
Everyone thought at first it was a hit and run. Except when the officer got closer to check if he was still alive. He soon noticed it wasn't a normal situation. His throat was scratched out.
From a knife or something?
No, nails.
Nails? Nails as in fingernails? With those gouged through? That's right. Tomitake-flash had clawed out his own throat with his own nails and died. There's no way someone could die like that. So then, for that to happen...
We thought drugs were to blame, but nothing of that nature was detected.
That's right. The police didn't find any drugs in Tomitake-flash's system. Is this chapter actually like 3 hours long? We're like close to 2. I thought you were like overballing it. I think more has happened in this one chapter than the entire fucking game.
Yeah?
The police told me they didn't find any drugs in Tomitake-flash's body.
Quick.
The two of them laughed together with that sickening laughter. Of course they'd laugh. To assume that such a medicine didn't exist just because the police didn't know about it was completely foolish. Meaning the drug that caused Tomitake-flash to die in such a bizarre manner did exist? If Mion injected this into me, then that would probably be all the proof I needed. That would basically mean I'd end up the same as Tomitake-flash. Become hysterical, scratching out my own throat in my last moments, then die. For such an outrageous drug to exist, for Mion to be holding it, and that I was about to be injected with it. In that moment, I did not feel there was any need whatsoever to question it. What kind of idiot, when he's trying to dodge a ball flying straight for his face, has time to think of a reason as to why it's flying at him?
Just give up. Alright then.
Mion's actions lacked any gravitas, and that made it even more terrifying. There was none of the ceremony like when someone is sentenced to death. There was no hesitation at all, as if she was just brushing her teeth. Mion reached out with one hand and grabbed onto my chest. It felt like electricity had run through the back of my head and the entire world had gone dark. Did I stand up too fast? Or did someone hit me really, really hard in the back of the head? Having lost my sense of balance, I was assaulted by a wave of dizziness.